The last episode of the GG Gaming GG of the Year took place at Blair Athol Stables, where we interviewed Julie Taylor about her beloved picture book, himself a son of JPEG, who of course was Equus Horse of the Year. Now, this extremely friendly fella, his name is Arch Rival. He's a son of AP Arrow out of a National Emblem mare, and he's taken to his new task with extraordinary ability. He's jumping 1 meter 30 plus, and he's only been off the track for around about 18 months. And many people would say, isn't that rushing it a little bit? We say no, not at all, because he is just one of those horses that absolutely loves his job and has been doing everything with such enormous ease and so much confidence, so much zeal and zest for his task, that we're going to go and meet Kayla Gertenbach right now at Reba Stables and find out how he came into her possession, what he's doing right now, and what he's like to compete with. This is episode 2 of the GG Gaming GG of the Year. The contention is that these kind of horses actually find you. You don't find them. How do you feel about that?
I completely agree. I think whenever I've gone looking for a horse, I haven't found what I'm looking for. And all the best horses in my life have found me in some strange way, in a very roundabout way.
Now, obviously, I'm not quite sure where Timothy came into the equation, whether he had anything to do with it, but obviously this horse, Arch Rival, came from KwaZulu-Natal. We're very familiar with the stud farm, with AP Arrow, with National Emblem. He's a big brute of a horse, but he's very elegant in the same breath. And how did he actually hit your radar?
So when he came here, I was still in Europe. He came in January 2018. He actually ended up with a friend of ours called Nicole Mitchell. She's an event rider, and she didn't have enough time for him or space for him, so she sent him to my mum. And then I came back in May of 2018, and that's sort of when we started together. From the beginning, within 2 months, we took him to his first training show, and he jumped around the 90 centimeters there and just... he knew his job straight away. No one had to tell him what to do, and he's just been sailing ever since.
Well, I mean, that in itself is quite extraordinary. A lot of people start at the 30s and the 40s, I mean, let alone the 90s. But obviously he's a big fella, but he seems to have an even bigger mind.
I always say he's champion-minded. He knows he's a good horse, and he draws that kind of attention and that respect. He's got a really good aura about him, and there's no doubt in his mind. He thinks he can do everything, and he thinks he's the boss and the king.
Well, I think in racing, obviously it's the fastest horse that wins, or the horse with the most endurance, and he was not short in that department, but he did have one affliction, and that was the heat.
Yeah, so I heard from Jeff that he really battled with the heat, and then now in later years with me, we have noticed that in the summer he struggles a little bit. He sort of lacks energy, he goes a bit dull and doesn't enjoy the heat too much. Winter is definitely his time, but we've learned to manage it, and so far so good, so we're going to keep going.
And he's relatively a young horse. I mean, if you consider the fact that a lot of these warm bloods are only being sold at 4 and 5, would Arch Rival be around about 8 years of age now?
Yeah, he's 9. He came off the track at 7, so he'll be turning 10 this year. So raced fairly long, I think. Yeah, it hasn't slowed him down whatsoever.
And you must be so excited about the prospects for this horse as a 9-year-old to have got here this quickly.
Definitely, and I think age is just a number, depending on how well you look after them, and as long as they're happy to go and they love their job, I think they'll keep going, and when they're ready to stop, they'll tell you. So
you've got a World Cup qualifier coming up this week. He's jumping in the 130s, 135s. He must instill an enormous amount of confidence with this beautiful rhythm that he picks up from the time that you actually warmed him up.
He's got like a rocking horse canter. He goes along in his rhythm and just takes everything in his stride. He, pricks his ears, kicks into gear and goes.
Have you ever felt that there was a doubt in his mind? Because obviously if there's a doubt in your mind, you create a doubt in his mind. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, 100%. And I've never felt a doubt about him. I think we both thrive off each other. He knows he can do it. I know he can do it, and we both trust each other. And we all make mistakes, the riders and the horses sometimes. But it doesn't seem to rattle him when that happens. He gets quite upset. Actually, he squeals and bucks and tells me not to do it again. But I don't think it's that easy to break his confidence, because he knows he loves what he's doing.
And that anticipation, I mean, we all get show nerves, particularly when you get to that level where, I mean, the margins of error are minuscule. But when you go into this ring, when you've warmed him up, do you get this feeling that he is just up for it and ready to get at him?
Completely, yeah. He knows when it's show day. I suppose it's similar to race day. Gets excited, a little naughty and cheeky sometimes. He definitely is competitive, and I think that's what sets thoroughbreds a little bit apart from warm bloods, is they know when it's time to focus and to switch on, especially in a jump off. He just completely takes over, actually, and wants to win.
And the immediate short-term goal for you, given the fact that we've just come out of the most horrific time for this planet, are you thinking to yourself Derby? Are you thinking to yourself back overseas if the protocols open up? What's in your heart at the moment?
I think for Rival specifically, he's more suited to a bigger arena. He really opens up his canter, so something like Derby is definitely on the cards for him. And he thrives off the attention and the crowds and things, so that would definitely be his class. For now, he's quite new in the 130s. We're going to keep him there for a little while. Hopefully in the next few months he's going to step up into the 135s, and we'll just keep going and see where he takes us.
Another thoroughbred now a 10-year-old gelding by AP Arrow, of a National Emblem Mare Competitive Edge, and this is the very useful, very lovely arch rival, Kayla Gertenbach, who we saw riding in the previous 1m45 FEI class. Yeah, she goes on this very, very nice thoroughbred arch rival. I would guess being by AP Arrow, Summerhill bred. Summerhill, formerly one of the big thoroughbred studs, and now in the ownership of Henning Pretorius, breeding both thoroughbreds as well as wonderful warm blood sport horses. Exciting times. One of the most beautiful farms you'll ever wish to find, located just outside of Moy River. 1,000 acres of pristine breeding ground for horses. One-time penalty to add.
Well done, Kayla.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the way he jumped at the show. He jumped clear on the first day. We had one down in the champs and ended 5th in the 2 phase. Every show he goes to, he just gets better and better, and he jumps normally 2 out of 3 clear rounds, if not 3 out of 3 clear rounds. Very lucky that I'm not someone who gets nervous very easily, so I can keep focused and keep calm, and I think that comes through to the horses as well. But he's got quite a good mindset at the show. He kicks into another gear, and he wants to do well. He's definitely more switched on in competition than he is at home, and I think that comes from the racing. He knows when it's time to focus and to operate.
How should people who are in the racing world or in the show jumping world follow Arch Rival in the future?
So at the moment, with all the COVID restrictions, they are live streaming all the main events, and that's on YouTube through SA Show Jumping. But otherwise, on Facebook for Kayla Gertenbach Equestrian, I always post his results and things on there. So I suppose you can find it there or on YouTube.
And a final word about Govert Triggle and his very kind and generous sponsorship of this event.
Gavet's been such a great support of the sport. He sponsors a lot of shows. He's really done so much for show jumping, and we're all really grateful. He's a top rider himself as well, and he actually won the World Cup qualifier this last weekend. And he's there for the riders and the horses and for the sport. So we're all very grateful.
Yeah, well, that shows true mettle to sponsor an event and to go and win it yourself with all the pressure and all the organisation and the sponsors and all the red tape. That's very serious.
Yeah, no, I think he's got a lot going on, but he keeps his focus and he's done so well for himself. So I'm very happy for him.